Hi, how are you? It's Gary Duffy, and welcome back. Now today what we're going to do, we're going to be talking about the Norman Street Bridge. Now the Norman Street Bridge has been a real bugbear in Ipswich, and a lot of people have said, well, what's going on with the Norman Street Bridge? What are the approvals? What's happening with it? How much is it going to cost? And why hasn't it been done, and where is it at? So this was added to the confusion the other day, is that the Ipswich Council put out a statement saying that it had been to the council meeting and it was going for its third business case. So we wrote away and we wanted to find out what the facts were with this, because what we knew, we had a long history on this. We knew all the previous history on it was all fake. It was all made up, and it was that there was nothing ever happened to it. So we got some information. So with that, I want to share it with you. Now I'm here at the North Ipswich side of where the Norman Street would come across, and it would come across directly straight through here. There's a big pine tree on the other side of the river there on Norman Street. It would come straight through here. All these mature gum trees and all the creek bank on the other side would be destroyed. So all these mature gum trees would go. They would all be history, and I think that's a shame, especially when there's alternatives. So it goes across here. It's about 350 metres across for the bridge, which is probably the longest part of the widest part of the river and the biggest part of the river, which is some concern. You can see over there, I don't know whether you can see, but the bank height over there is about where my paper is there now. So that bank height over there compared to this side is quite high, and this side over here is quite low. Now Norman Street Bridge was first put through to the council in 2010 as a $50 million project. So all good and proper. So in 2012-13, they're supposed to have done a feasibility study, and this feasibility study on the bridge was done, and they did a feasibility study. They got some company in, and this company come in and said, well, the bridge is going to cost between $70 and $130 million if it is built within the next decade or so. So the cost of it was factored into the next decade, between 70 and 130 million. In 2015, the Council of Mayors put the cost of the bridge up at $230 million. Now you've got to consider that the first Gateway Bridge cost $350 million, right? So I'm pretty sure that's the cost of the first Gateway Bridge. And you know, I know it was some time ago, and the second one cost $1 billion, because the duplicate, because of all the roads and everything else that went on with it. Now, so the business case in 2013 cost $20 million. So that's that little flyover and video that you see on YouTube. That video and that business case cost ratepayers $20 million to do. So there was the $20 million. So that was completed in 16-17, or said to be completed. Now during the 2016 election, they come out and said, oh, we've done the business case on it and that and that, so and it's all approved and it's going to go ahead, and it was all a bunch of fibs. It was just totally incorrect, because I wrote a letter to the federal minister and the state minister, and there had never at any time been a proposal put forward for the Norman Street Bridge. Never ever had it been progressed to the state parliament or the federal parliament. So we got a letter back from the council saying, we don't deal with the state government, we deal directly with the federal minister. Yeah, okay, I think dealing with the minister to get money, funding, and that would be probably in that borderline of how they used to think they operate. Now, on the latest council release, it says it's $372 million. So we're confused by this. So we wrote another letter off to the council and said, please explain. and they come back with their explanation is that on the North Ipswich side of the river, on this field, on the football fields on North Ipswich, they underestimated the height of the bridge by 2.3 metres. So raising the bridge by 2.3 metres on the North Ipswich side of the river is where they, the extra $142 million is going to cost to raise the bridge on the north side of Ipswich River. Now, I don't know, must think we come down off some, out of a zoo or something, because there's no way in the world that actually adds up, because the bridge is 5 pillars across, so you've got to raise 3 or 4 of those pillars by 2.3 metres, and that's supposed to cost another $142 million. The explanation doesn't fit. So we look at all the other work that needs to go on across the other side there, and the Jacaranda Street, it floods, so it needs to be raised up. For them to put the roads through, they need to resume the houses on Norman Street, they need to resume houses on Jacaranda Street, then they need to build a flyover down at the old Bunnings, which is the Harvey Norman building, where the Nimmo Street corrupt deal was done, where the which is now before the courts, with charges against the people involved in that. So that was done. Apparently someone might have known about this alignment, getting the plans approved, and prior to the public knowing about that. And then the 5 ways up here, they're going to block off Glebe Road, which will be detrimental to the shops up there, and it means that people won't be able to drive up and down Glebe Road to get into the city, which means that Newtown residents will be blocked from using Glebe Road, and they won't have easy access to the city. So all in it, plus there's roadworks over at North Ipswich School, where they have to, where the new service station was approved, and apparently we approved service stations long before we construct bridges, because we know that that's going to be a busy intersection and that's acceptable. And we're going to funnel the traffic onto Pine Mountain Road, which is, as you know, is basically a single lane each way road. So there's lots of really good planning in there. Now, we asked about, was Norman Street the only bridge considered? And they said, well, no, actually we considered and we considered Barry Street. So, but when they considered, say they considered Chermside Road and Barry Street, that was when it was only going to cost between 70 and 130 million, not 372 million. So that puts their calculations out quite a bit as to value for money for the community. Now, we say it's now going to cost 230 million, and I'll show you a photo of this. This is the Harwood Bridge, which was built last year in New South Wales. This bridge here is 35 spans across. Remember, Norman Street Bridge is 5. So this one's 35 spans. And this one here was $250 million, and it was completed last year, I believe, or 2018, 2019. So that was this whole project is the 1.5 kilometres long of construction, and as you can see, it's a dual lane bridge with each way, and they had to build it high enough for boats to go under. So it's a very, I think it's 35 metres high, so it's quite a big bridge and quite high bridge. So that was only just recently built in New South Wales, and that whole project was $230 million. Sorry, $250 million. So when we compare bridges with bridges, we've got to consider what we're doing here. the 5 spans across here, and then the roadworks across here, and then the destruction of the football fields and the taking out of all our mature gum trees on the river here and everything else that is required. So, so that's where we've got with that. Now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take you around, I'm going to show you the different parts of the project so that you understand, and then we're going to compare Chermside Road, and then we're going to have a look at Barry Street and see what the options are. So I'm going to link these videos all together so it's one video. It may be a bit long, but it is worthwhile you watching it for the duration, so that you have a full understanding of what the whole project is about. And look, I'm sure that if I'm wrong on something, the council is going to come out and say, well, Gary, in this part of your video you're wrong. Well, we've asked for all the information, and if we're incorrect, then you should have provided us with the better information if we are wrong on this video. So so we'll go over and we'll go and have a look at the other sites now, and then we'll come back. So we'll go to on the north side of the Bremer River, we'll have a look at the Chermside Road one, then we'll come out and have a look at Barry Street. And someone said, why is your video backwards, or that, or why is it? It's because I use the front camera, which mirrors everything, so please bear with me. Hi again. Now, I'm on North Ipswich Oval. Now the bridge will run straight directly through here, so that's the scoreboard. Now the clubhouse up there, that's on the North Ipswich grounds here, the floodwaters went up to the top of the windows of the building. So to give you some idea how high the flood was. And this is where the bridge has been planned to go through, not only a floodplain but right across the fields. And so you would go consider that the floodwaters went up to the top of the windows there on the clubhouse. Yeah, back now, here we are now, we're on the potential site, and here we have the potential site on this road here, which I'm at Moore's Pocket now. So there's the Bremer, which is just in behind me there. You can see a little bit of the water there. And over the other side there is Chermside Road. So we have Chermside Road over the other side. And the other site was to bring over to Moore's Pocket here, and to turn this one here into the bridge across the road here. As you can see, it would come from the other side of that hill over the other side there in the park, and come across here and go up here. The only thing is that if they bring it across here, they'd have to resume quite a number of houses. Chermside Road in the bottom end down there in Basin Pocket doesn't have the width, and also it down in the gully there in the middle of there, it also floods. So but Chermside Road would be a straight road over here to from Basin Pocket to Moore's Pocket Road. So to put it in perspective, and I brought you down here so that you can see where we are, and you can see that that's where it would come across, and then it would go straight up into Moore's Pocket that way. So from Basin Pocket across the highway across here to Moore's Pocket. So that was the other bridge that was considered, and this area here floods quite a bit. Even over the other side, you can see how much higher the bank is over the other side over there. I think we're about at least 10 metres higher over that side, 8 to 10 metres higher. So to come over to this side, there would have been quite a bit of infrastructure needed for that. So just so you know where we are at and what the options were. I'll go over the other side in a minute, and we will show you from the other side of the from Chermside Road over to here. How are you? Gary again. Now this time we're at Lowry Street, L-O-W-R-Y, Lowry Street, and as you can see this here is a really wide street. If you go from lamppost to the other side, it's actually a four lanes. You can have 4-lane street here. This street goes all the way through to the other side, to the Bremer River on the other side, where the plans were, original plans were for a bridge to be put on the other side of that, going across the Bremer over to the Brussels side of the river. So that would have made a room for a straight through run from here right across to the Brussels side. So here we are at the crossing point here, and we'll just turn around. Now that gap that you see in the trees there, that is a easement, and it's a proper easement across the river. So that is a designated easement for doing that. So all the trees here on the riverbank are not native trees. This is the old plywood site here. So this site here has never been underwater in any of the floods. In 1974 it came up to the edge of the plywood factory, and as far as I know it didn't go through the plywood factory. This site here is actually quite a little bit higher than the North Ipswich football grounds around there, and it's certainly a lot higher than what we have down that way there, which is the North Ipswich League Club Oval. So this is the Barry Street side. Now remember that this was compared with the Norman Street Bridge site when the Norman Street Bridge was when the budget was $70 to $130 million. Now that one they'd blown out to 372 million, but this one here is, because it was taken out of consideration in the beginning, it's not back in consideration, which I think it should have been back in consideration, given that now this one here is so far out of budget. It's at least $240 million out of budget to what it was, or at least $302 million out of the $70 million budget that it was originally on the first business case, was $70 to $130 million. So why is this one back in contention? So what we'll do, we'll go over the other side and we'll talk about what's on the other side of Barry Street Bridge and why I have a look at Barry Street and it's my preferred option, and that's what we talk about as preferred option, but based on facts of what, when you compare apples with apples, prices with prices, right? You can't say, well, that one there's a better one because it's going to cost $372 million, but we could build this one here for $70 million and we can achieve the same outcomes as what we get out of that one, and that's what we're getting. The Chermside one, Street one, where it goes across the bridge, that would have, the Chermside Street one would have been very prohibitive, because you would have to do Moore's Pocket Road, which you'd have to upgrade that, because that's really you'd be coming onto a T intersection. Here you come straight across the river, you come into a 4-lane road right the way through, and then you can in the future, in another 20 years or whatever, you can put another bridge from there across over to onto down Wood End Brussels Way, so you can continue across there, and that enables your transport options to be a lot better. It enables people to get around the city a lot better, and opens the city up to better transport options in the future. So we'll continue on the journey. So hi everyone. Now behind me here is Barry Street, And if you can see, and I'll try and zoom you up into there. No, we're not going to zoom up. So if you can see up in the back up there, that's Chermside Road up there. So that's Chermside Road. So Chermside Road is where that tunnel overpass is. So Barry Street would come off the top of that overpass and come down the street. And that street there is quite wide, coming down into there. And this one here is Blackhall Street, or King Edward Parade and Blackhall Street. So if we're coming down off there and coming through here, we have a look at here on this side of the bank. Now the water here is normally, and I say normally, in 2011 we had about 2 metres of water here, right? So we don't get that much water here. The little house on the corner there went a little bit underwater. There's a house here that went up to East Sideline. There's no house here. And this is the easement that I was talking about across the river. So there's the gap in the trees across there. So, and this is a natural easement. This is all an easement. So there's no resumption of anything here. I know we have a really good historical house here. But I noticed that there's also a vacant block of land up the road that, if needed to, we could probably reposition that house up there, and maybe one house off the corner up there on the corner of Chermside Road on Barry Street. So to come down here, and we go straight across here, and as we go straight across there, we go up Larry Street, which would go straight across into Pine Street, and we've 4 lanes all the way across. So we can connect all this traffic here onto this bridge. People coming off down Chermside Road or coming from Brisbane Road can come up onto there and come down here. So there's no real alteration to anything except for building a off-ramp off onto Chermside Road, so that people go off here and go up onto Chermside Road, go left or right, and people can enter onto here. But that's quite a wide area up there, and if you see the little red car is actually parked on the boundary line of the property boundary, but on where the natural footpath is. So when that is opened up to the footpath, you can see the difference in it. So like I was saying, this Barry Street Bridge was tested at the $70 to $130 million value. What we're talking about is 3 pylons across. So one on the other side, one on this side, and maybe one here, or maybe not one here, but really only 2 pylons. All the infrastructure is here. Everything that is needed is here, and it really makes for proper connections. It's close to the city, it's close to North Ipswich, and it enables connections between this side and North Ipswich Sports Stadium, Riverlink Shopping Centre, those people wanting to head out onto Warwick Road, those people wanting to head back into Brisbane or head over to Mount Cosby Road or anything else like that. So this one here, that's why my choice, and what we're doing is we're comparing the apples with the apples. This one here would have cost about $70 million to build. When you compare it at $70 million, the bridge across at Windsor, it cost $130 million, but most of that was to take down the old bridge as well, because the old bridge was there for 140 years. It had to be demolished in a certain way, and the new bridge was built across the river at Windsor. This void across here to cross is shorter than the bridge at Windsor, and that one cost $50 million. So 70 to 130 million, if we can't do that within that budget, which includes what goes on up here, there's something wrong with the way we're building bridges in Ipswich, and we'll take you down to the next site. Okay, now we're at Norman Street. So that's Norman Street, Now Norman Street is a pretty narrowish street, and it comes down into here. As you can see, there's not a lot of distance between the fences, boundary lines. Now the council come down and they did resume this house, and they kicked the tenants out and demolished the house. So I don't know what that was about. I believe it, and I was told that that's what it is. So this is the pine trees that are going to get knocked out, and then we had all the trees through here, and then we go down to the other side of on North Ipswich, and so this is where the Norman Street Bridge would go across. I'll just go down here. We'll walk down here just so that I can show you something. So I don't know whether they sold this property to someone, but as you can see, you go down here and then you go down to the river. So the river is quite a fair way across there down the bottom to the bank, and then you go across the river, and then you have the bank, and then you have the North Ipswich Oval on the other side, and this was touted as being the best position for them at $70 to $130 million. I don't know how it stacks up at being anything of value at $372 million. So look, we're just going through and we're comparing them. So we'll go to the next slide, and we can hopefully inform Ipswich of what the bridge is all about and why there's so much controversy. Now look, now I'm at Chermside Street, or Chermside Road. So this is Chermside Road here, where it comes down past the Leagues Club down the bottom here at the river. Now where I was before was across the road over here, across the river over here. So this was the crossing across the river, and over there is Moore's Pocket. So we're at Chermside Road at Basin Pocket. So where my black car is there, is Chermside Road. As you can see, Chermside Road is a very narrow road down this end, and getting across there, it's a little, basically a little one lane road over there, and then where that white car just went up, that's Moore's Pocket Road. Moore's Pocket Road is very narrow as well, and you certainly wouldn't fit the 4 lanes or 3 lanes up there. And this was the other site that was touted. It's certainly a site that could be considered for a bridge, something like at Brussels there, or at any one of the other bridges. It's certainly a bridge that could be considered for that, which would again connect all the people on Moore's Pocket Road directly down through this way, as an alternative route, but not as a high volume bridge. Again, this one here was in the $70 to $130 million bracket. I'd imagine that it's about a $50 million, from my experience in dealing with engineers and that I've dealt with over the years. I would imagine that $50 million would get us probably a pretty neat little bridge across here that would enable all the people on Moore's Pocket to have a easy access route out of here, but also all the people living over in Moore's Pocket access to all the fields and the schools and everything over there on this side of the river quite easily. So we can open up the city, and I would probably suggest that for $372 million, which was the cost of the put forward for the Norman Street Bridge, we could probably build the Barry Street Bridge and this bridge here, a bridge across here, and have 2 bridges, and probably save about nearly $200 million, or $170 million in money, and build 2 bridges. That would be my suggestion to the council, to consider that we put in a Barry Street bridge in this one. Now, a lot of people said about the flooding. Yes, it floods here, but I can tell you that if it's flooding here, no one in Ipswich is moving anywhere, because if it's flooding here, the motorway would be under water at Goodna. You wouldn't be Costco would be underwater. The goods in Costco would be underwater. You wouldn't be able to go at Warwick Road. You certainly wouldn't be able to go in the CPD. You wouldn't be able to go down Jacaranda Avenue. So people saying, well, no, you'll be subject to floods there. Well, there's lots of bridges in Australia that go underwater. Is it harmful for them? How long do they go underwater for? Probably 4 days. And I know that when Brisbane floods, the bridge on Centenary Highway there near Lone Pine Sentry there, that's underwater as well. So lots of things go underwater. Is it harmful to people? No. Are most people safe? Most people are safe before it goes underwater. How long is it underwater for? Maybe 10 hours. At maximum it would be out of purpose or out of use for 4 days every 45 years or something. Is that something that needs to be taken into consideration? Well, if we put 4 days into 40 odd years of days, I don't know, it'd probably be 0.000% of the time. Is it going to wash away? No, it's not going to wash away. So is it money well spent for the benefit that you get in the other 40 years, other days on the 40 years? Yes, it is. So look, that's what we're looking at, how I'm looking at approaching it. We got to do something very soon, and doing nothing is just frustrating the hell out of motorists and the community and the business owners in Ipswich. And the people of Ipswich need to be able to have better transport options. Is this one? Maybe. Is Barry Street one? Absolutely. Is Norman Street one? Absolutely not, because Norman Street one is just too far out of the ballpark. It's out of range for the Ipswich Council budget. And when we had a look at it, that their third business case that they're going to do, it's not actually a business case that's approved. What they've said, what the council said, is that they're going to apply to the state government for funds to do the third business case. So they haven't got the money for the third business case, but they want to get the funds to do the business case. The issue that we have here is we have Mount Cosby off-ramp needs to be fixed first. We have the issue at Cunningham Highway, that needs to be fixed. If we're going to pull in 2 bridges at Barry Street and Chermside Road, we can fix Mount Cosby and we can do some work on Cunningham Highway with the federal government, funds that are already put aside for that. We can get so much more done without having to put a white elephant up over on the Norman Street Bridge. So look, I'll catch you later in the week, and was happy to take questions on it. If the council thinks I'm wrong, please send me an email and correct me, because people want to know the facts. They don't want all the crap that went on in the past. They don't want to hear lies and anything else. And what I've told you today is what was sent to me by the council and what has been published by the council. So if I'm telling you it wrong, then certainly they've sent me the wrong information in the beginning. So look, we'll catch you soon, and I shouldn't be so close to the camera. See you, bye-bye.